Okay, listeners, welcome to Dice Hosters Season 2, Episode 4, Hobby Community. We got the gang here. I also have a special guest, which we'll talk to in just a second and reveal who they are in the video. But just for a moment, I'm going to take you through what we've got in today's show, and then we'll reveal who it is. So we're going to go cover the events calendar. It's not just Ontario now. We've actually got an event there that's over in New Brunswick. So we're starting to get the word out and get other locations involved in what's happening with Bolt Action specifically. But we want to get to other events, different gaming systems. We've also got big news about 3rd edition that was announced, and also where Adepticon 2025 is going to be relocating to.
Yeah, everything announced a week after we did our last podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, just perfect. And then we've got we're going to debrief. We had Dice Hosters Bolt Action Doubles event, Operation Claymore, just the other week. So quick check-in on that and how that went. We're going to talk about briefly about Epic Black Powder Waterloo, which is something that we're getting into, and then what our hobby plans are. So, without further ado, we are going to reveal our special guest. So we've got a bit of a drum roll going. And it's Mr. John Russell from Warlord Games.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing, John? Thank you for joining us.
Another fun, wacky Tuesday here in Oklahoma, so we're sitting between tornadoes and having some fun time. So, it's always a good time, hobby, get some stuff built and painted and get it on the tabletop.
Well,
Nice.
looking at the video, I could see there's plenty of hobby for you to be dealing with. So,
Yeah. My pile of shame is pretty bad. And of course, as you can see, I have what we say sabled in the industry. Stuff acquired beyond life expectancy. So that's me. I am sabled.
Here I thought Warlord asked you to, be the warehouse.
I am actually, nice question. I am actually the warehouse. I have a shed that's about 8 miles away from here. We do the collection and the distribution as much as we can for a lot of the FLGSs. If they have a bad experience or something got broken, the shipments, they ship it to me. Amazon shippers ship it back to me. So I am a collection point actually. So, but that's 8 miles away and it's got a really bad internet. So I'll just stay here.
wow, okay, that's fair enough. So what we're going to do, for our listeners of the past, you'll have heard that we'll do an interview, and typically that interview is shoehorned into our shows. This time with John, because we're going to be talking about community, and because the podcast predominantly is about community, we're going to be randomly shooting questions at John, try catch him out, and he's going to do some dodging and weaving. So I think the first thing, John, is for those that may not be familiar with who you are, especially in Canada, where because I know you're really busy with the US. There's a lot of hobby communities and events in the US, and there is some in Canada, but it's a little bit further to go up here in the Great Frozen North. What do you do? What's your job with Warlord Games?
My official title, Craig, is Warlord Games North American Representative. So I represent Warlord in Mexico, Canada, America, and the outlying regions. We do have a couple raiders up in Canada.
Is that like an ambassador?
I guess you could say that. Yeah. You could say maybe an ambassador. Yeah, Warlord ambassador. I'll steal that title. And everybody anything that goes on in North America, I try to take care of the events. My good friend Billy Gaziano is the sales guy. So with him and me, we're the 1-2 punch to try to get Warlord around, do everywhere we can. I'm very familiar with, as familiar as a guy from the United States can be with Canada. I grew up and was raised in Montana, 60 miles from the Canadian border. So I watched a lot of SNL TV. I watched, my Sesame Street was in French. And we, when the TV went off, we had the Canadian national anthem, then we had the American national anthem, then we had all the snow. So I try to get up there as much as I can.
Yeah, kind of like an honorary Canadian, right?
Almost,
joke.
Yeah. We could sing the songs and have some fun, and But I also realized that I in Montana there was a west and the east, and same thing for Canada. There's an east and west. There's not a lot in the middle, but there are gamers everywhere, and we have to try to find out how we can get our systems to those gamers. You guys are really coming up with some really great events. There's some really great guys we're working with. A lot of my raiders are, of course, on the fourth over by Quebec and Nova Scotia, but we do have some guys that we're trying to look at over in Vancouver, and then we've got some events going on in Calgary, which is one of my favorite cities. Medicine Hat, Calgary, and so I've been up in that area. So I have gone up for a couple times for Warzone. That was up in Toronto. I think it was in Toronto. Did that a little bit. That was fun. And me and you've had that discussion about coffee, and then we try to get as much as we can wherever we can. And if there's anybody that's in the Great White North that needs some help, give me a call, 406-579-7704, or give me an email at jon.russell@warlordgames.com, and we'll take care of your event needs and do what we can for you.
Event needs, people. Event needs.
Yeah, any events. And when I say events, everybody goes bolt action, okay, yeah, Blood Red Skies, okay. But I mean any event. And if you're a TO or an EO, if you're a tournament organizer or an event organizer, and we've all been around the block, we've all played games. Some of us like to do narrative campaigns. Some of us like to do competitive campaigns. But we're here for any of your event needs. If you have, we're starting to do a new program that if there's 9 questions, you email me, I'll email you 9 questions, you answer them, and we can help you with your events. And it could be Project Z, it could be Warlords of Erewhon, it could be a Mythic America, it could be Blood Red Skies, it could be Bolt Action, it could be my personal favorite, Bolt Action Korea, but that's just me. And then we got Black Sea, we've got Cruel Seas, Victory Sea, A47, anything that you guys want to run, we can try to help you out and support you.
That's fantastic. And just for those out there, John actually is the author of Bolt Action Korea. So
you stole my tongue.
I'm stealing your thunder because that's and actually we'll come to a Bolt Action Korea because I think that's something that we also would love to talk about. But yeah, I think that's fantastic. Because I think hobby community is the lifeblood of what we do, right? And how businesses like Warlord look after and massage the community and support it and help it grow, nurture it and help it grow. And I think that I would say in the last couple of years that we've been really looking at Bolt Action and by an extension now Warlord products, the Warlord range and the hobby. In our social media that we're seeing, there are more and more people who are not necessarily part of groups that are coming and joining the community as individuals and looking to play, looking for that community. And I don't think that was necessarily there as easily in the past. Whereas now, when you provide that support, it and to support those events for people to go to and stuff, just helps give that kind of driver as well for people to play and keep growing their range.
Yeah, one of my raiders, Tony Rigger, says it the best. You come for the game, you stay for the community. You come for the game, and you stay for the community. And there's so many there, and that's what I really love, Craig, about my job is traveling around the United States and Canada. I'm still trying to get south of the border, but we're getting there. The different ways that people play all the different games that Warlord makes, and there's pockets all over the United States. There's Gates of Antares pockets, there's Bolt Action pockets, there's Project Z pockets, there's just Epic pockets all over, and it's so much fun to see how people get together and play our games. And playing games is such a community, it's such a social community that I really love it. You guys saw it at Adepticon. That's the Mac Daddy of conventions, and we'll talk about that later. But holy crap, I'll never miss Adepticon as long as I can.
Is there still a lot of people playing Gates of Antares? Because I
say again,
Gates of Antares. Is there still a lot of people playing that? Because I've got an army. These guys don't. There's and then when we bought, and a lot of people don't realize, Warlord acquired Skytrex. We own Skytrex, and then to make more room in the warehouse and to give it the care and feeding that it deserved, we moved Cruel Seas and Skytrex, and Cruel Seas, and Gates of Antares over to Skytrex. Now, a lot of people say, well, Cruel Seas is dead. Why would we kill John Stoller's game? The guy who owns Warlord Games, that's his game, is Cruel Seas. So Andy Isherwood and all the guys over there at Skytrex have taken that and expanded it. And then, I don't know if you've seen it, but, there's a Gates of Antares 2 out. We released that PDF for free. And we've redone some of the armies. They've released some of the new models. There's some new objective counters of new heads.
So
and
that's
it's
not
just
on Warlord's website anymore? Then that's on Skytrex?
both. If you go to Warlord's website, it'll link over to Skytrex and you'll see it. But Skytrex just released, when I was over there in September, Andy showed me there's like 4 or 5 different heads, a bunch of new objective counters. And like I said, if you go to the Skytrex site, you'll see the Gates version 2 that Tim and the guys did. Really, Tim Bancroft and his crew did a phenomenal job of really bringing that up. Gates of Antares is such a great game. It's a D10 system. And some of the stuff from K47 is stolen. I mean, acquired from Gates of Antares. So, I really like Gates of Antares. And it's still around. Still people play it. And, watch this site. There's more stuff coming.
Oh, good. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So one more question before we start looking at our events. How long have you been with Warlord Games, and what is your, what are you doing now game-wise that you're playing?
Officially, I've worked full-time now for Warlord for the past 7 years. I did a part-time for about 2 or 3, so I've been around officially full-time for 7 years. It's been a lot of fun. It's been ups and downs. We're always trying to expand and Craig, I know, and your whole crew will agree with me. There's nothing better than playing a game with some good friends, some good libations, some good painted miniatures, and a good table. So we're always trying
these checks. I can't find anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lucky you. And what we're trying to we try to make our tables unique. So we have roughly 20 different tables that we're working on that we can bring to our events that are each different. There's a theme in each event. We're working on like I've showed it a couple times. I do a thing every Wednesday on Facebook, and we're changing I call it table jewelry. That's those things that you put on the table to tell you, like table 15, table 13, table 14. Well, Sarissa, one of our great partners, makes these billboards, and I've got 3 billboards sitting over there. I can grab one as you're talking and show you. But I use an old World War II propaganda poster from any of the nations, and I put the number of that table on there, so it blends into that terrain. So I'm working on some really good stuff from our good friends at Things from the Basement. This is for the German village. They donated a German village and a Russian village. They just got done doing a big Kickstarter. We gave them we allowed them to sell our Farmyard Animals box. And here's a trivia question for all your listeners out there. All of you listening now, and all of you that I can see on this screen, all of you know the product code for our box of animals. And I would bet my next month's paycheck, both of them, that you know the product code for our animal box.
We know the code for the animal box.
Yep, yeah, you all know it. I guarantee you all know it. You give up?
He's looking at them. You mean this box?
Yeah, okay, right. So look on the side, over by the barcode, and what is the product code?
That's awesome. E-I-E-I-O.
Right? E-I-E-I-O. It's E-I-O. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
That story for that. Yeah. About 3-4 years ago at Warlord Open Day, when we brought those out, John Stollard came running up to me like a schoolgirl on prom night, giggling, asking me, what's the product code? And I said, I don't know, John. And he giggled. He goes, E-I-E-O. And he ran off. And I was like, oh, my God, that's just brilliant. So it's just, that's what's kind of fun about working at Warlord. There's that, we try to take ourselves seriously, but every once in a while, we'll do something like Operation Sea Lion. So, and flying tanks. But, there you go.
Yeah. No, that's some good stuff.
So I'm working on train, and I'm working on, I've got some the gun trucks, and I'm always working on something for Korea. I've got some
Republic of Korea troops and some Chinese guys in the winter gear, and some BTRs and a little bit. Oh, and then of course there's a bunch of over back there. There's a bunch of Civil War epic. So a little bit of everything.
Oh, right. It sounds like what we're up to with lots of stuff going on.
I think we call it squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of us with ADHD.
Yeah, whatever the muse takes you at the time, you got to have something ready to go.
That's right. Okay. Well, we're going to jump over to Evan, who's going to take us through what events are happening over the next few weeks, and tell us what's happening.
Cool, thank you. So, 25th of May, there's Critical Hit Games in Oshawa doing a one-day bolt action tournament. That's on a Saturday. Then 25th and 26th of May, hosted by D6 Dodgers in Rideau Curling Club in Ottawa. There's a 32-player two-day tournament. That's part of the Canadian Tabletop Championships. Then on the 8th of June, there is the East Coast Offensive. So this is the one that Craig mentioned earlier out in Moncton. So it's hosted by Dave Verrett and Rob Reed at the East Coast Comic Expo.
Dave Verrett is awesome guy. I wish I could go to his event.
Dave's one of our guys. Yep, Dave's one of our guys.
I gotta pop in here. If we drive down to Adepticon, I think if they ever do a 2-day tournament, we gotta go to the East Coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yeah.
If they ever did a 3-day tournament.
We'll drive down to Adepticon, but we've never gone as a group out to the East Coast or somewhere. So if they ever do a 2-day tournament, we have to go out there.
Especially if Dave's involved. If Dave was involved, I'd definitely do it.
So Dave, Rob,
Dave's a good guy.
the gauntlet has been dropped.
Yep.
Okay, and then D-Day Anniversary Bolt Action on the 8th of June, hosted by Great Lakes Wargaming at the Guild House in Toronto. It's a one-day tournament. And then our Battle of Burlington 2, we've decided to delay that due to the announcement of Bolt Action 3rd Edition. So we'll announce later in the year what our format will be.
And
Go ahead, Derek. You were going to say?
I would say, and whether it would be October or November, it all depends on. Give enough people enough time to read the rules, see when the drop date is, because nobody really knows when it is. So, and we're not. One person in this podcast is, but we promise not to, poke the bear.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yes,
I did. Yes, I did.
Oh.
Not John. John wasn't the one who said it.
Reset the clock.
So I think two things regarding the events. Number one, I think 3 of those events are organized by new TOs, right? So, which is great. It's not just the usual crowd, so it's great to see other people, other TOs
new to us. They've been
new to us. Just say, you're right. New to us, which is great.
Don't want.
It's great to see Dave Verrett and his guys run an event out there and promote it here in Ontario as well. And I think we'd love to strive to see more social media bring together East and West Canada together to talk more about the hobby and of Warlord and such. And then the other thing is, I think with Battle of Burlington 2, I think we decided to push that back because we just want to understand a bit more what Bolt Action 3rd Edition is and when would we hold it and where would we hold it, so that we can put in the right points and put the right rules in and make sure that it's running well. So and we want it to be a 2-day event as well, so it's 5 games over 2 days. So we're trying to figure that out. There will be, though, we are thinking that there probably will be at Testaminis a combat patrol format as well. For anybody who's not played combat patrol, in my opinion, it surpassed doubles as my favorite way of playing Bolt Action.
I've said this before, but I'll say it to the podcast. I think combat patrol is amazing in the sense that when you start playing a game, any edition of any game that you've ever played, you start off with like 500 points or 50 points or what, like a low number, just to get a feel for the game. And then gradually you want more toys, and it climbs to 750. Then it's 1,000. Then it's 1,250. Then it's 1,500. I'm talking bolt action terms. And then it kind of, okay, 1,500 is too much, and everybody kind of draws it back a little bit. But you're at that point where you get all your toys, and you can pretty much make an all-comers list. You can have an answer for everything, but maybe not everything. Combat Patrol, it's 450. You got to decide what you're going to do, what you're going to take, and that's it. Like if you're going to go high skill veterans that like the Gurkhas, you're not getting many of them. Where somebody go like, and you do put a dice limit on it, so you're not going to have somebody come out with a bunch of, 16 spearmen, the bamboo fighters or whatever. Too. But you do make a choice, and that choice between going regular and veteran in particular is very significant, because generally it's the difference between 2 platoons and 3 platoons. So pins make a lot more difference. The size of the platoons drastically shrinks. You're looking at 6 and 7 man platoons, basically what the entry level is on the list. You're not adding those extra guys, or if you do, you may be adding 1 or 2. It makes the game so much faster, so much quicker. You can literally get 5 games in 3-4 hours, 5 hours, like tops. It does not take a long time, and they're fun because they're so fast. It's just done, and there's no stress over it. I absolutely love it.
Right, lean and lethal.
Yeah. And it's not to say that if you're losing, you're going to lose. You can still get that change, but it becomes very much more like your planet. You're really back to like a military commander's enforcing your will upon your opponent. There is no like, this is my game plan and I'm going to do it regardless, because that's the only game plan I have, because there's only these units on the board. I can't wait for a bunch of tanks to show up because I don't have tanks on my list. I don't have these kind of support options. This is it. So it's a lot of enforcing your will, and the dice play a big part of that. So I think it really brings a lot of the mechanics into the game that make this game interesting, with the pulling of the dice and pins, because suddenly if you're a high elite army with veterans and you're going against a guy with a bunch of regulars and he hits your unit 4 times, that's 4 pins. Like suddenly your veterans aren't quite as tasty as they were before if they got a rally every other turn, right? So it just makes for a fast, efficient, fun game that can swing either way.
Also, it gives people an easy, as you say, the points level gives you an easy in for a combat patrol list.
Yeah.
But for the veteran players, on the other hand, it gives you the option of, there's this one unit I've always wanted to try out, like the 5 guys, but I'm not going to buy a massive amount of them to make a unit of 20 when I don't know if they're going to work or not, but you can field the 5 and away you go.
Yep. John, do you get the opportunity to play bolt action or any events? I know you support it, but do you actually get a chance to play?
Well, there's always demos, but you know how those work. Every once in a while, I have a good Raider friend, Jim Hagman here. We, when we're both in town, we try to do a little bit of black powder. That's one of my, I really like black powder, and it's so much fun. But I don't get to play as much as I'd like to. I mean, you saw the shelves earlier, but I got so many miniatures painted in so little time. But I do get every once in a while, I get a chance to play Bolt Action Korea and Bolt Action. Blood Red Skies is my jam. I really like Blood Red Skies. Unfortunately, I have been bitten by the Big Red Skies, or otherwise known as Aerofix presents Blood Red Skies, but I call it Big Red Skies, and Big Alley or Mig Alley. Oh and I got hooked. Yeah, you saw the 1/72 scale
one. Yeah, Adepticon.
Yeah. So I've got over 70 models for 1/72 scale. So when I say Big Red Skies, we did the opening scene from Battle of Britain with the Stukas attacking the Chain Home Raiders. You guys saw the Chain Home Raiders that I had. Now they weren't in scale because they'd have been 5 feet tall. We had them 3 feet tall.
thanks to my buddies Raider Scott Krieger. But we had 3 Spitfires and 3 Hawker Hurricanes against 3 Jugs and 3 Ju-87s and 3 ME-109s. And then Sunday, we were able to play a big alley, which was Bridges of Tokori in 72nd scale that affected the bolt-action Korea game I was playing. So
that's cool.
I like those. Oh, yeah, I like those crossover narrative kind of things. But no, Craig, I don't get to play as much as I'd like to, but I do get a chance to play sometimes.
Yeah. Oh well. I think that's one of the things is like when I remember when I worked for GW is that you find that you try to fit your hobby in to slivers of things because that's what you do working. You know, you're in the office or you're at supporting events and such. So you find that, and then I think one of the it's a good thing and it's a bad thing when you work for a miniature gaming company. You know what's coming in 12 months. So you get excited about what's coming in 12 months. And as soon as it arrives to actually get it, you see what's already in 12 months ahead of that, right? So it becomes this cyclical kind of thing. So that was one of the things I always struggled with. I was just like,
I call that the self-licking ice cream cone. You always know what's coming up next, and it's just like, oh, man. I just finished this unit, and now it's this unit. Oh, man.
Yeah. It just keeps getting better. Yeah, no, exactly.
I've already played with it. So
I think you've all of us have got to agree that when we started, we had minifigs or heritage, and we had those big clunky grenadier stuff, and we were happy to have that. I mean, I lived in Montana. We'd drive 110 miles to buy miniatures, and now you got guys printing out whatever miniature they want. You got the board games. It is truly the golden age of gaming, and you can pretty much. You can do stuff online. There's no excuse to not get out there and have some fun with your miniature hobby. I mean, really, come on. There's stores all over. I understand that the debate between West Coast and East Coast Canada. I really understand it. And but again, there's no reason why you can't play. Even if it's not Warlord. I mean, hell, Ogre is a great game system to play by mail, or send your stuff or do it online, and it just. There's no reason with the resources that the people have today that you can't find a good miniature game out there.
Yeah, but the Canada East Coast, West Coast thing is just limits the number of people you can play with. There's still people in your area. I just may hear about great players out on the West Coast or further out on the East Coast and hope to run into them one day because you hear good things about other players. It's just I can't see them every day or at the gaming club, but I've got my group of guys, these guys and several others that we can play with all the time. It's just that's what those big events are for, like when you go to Adepticon or Gen Con or LVO, like those big events, that's where you reach out and you see people. Like I went to Adepticon this year and I ran into guys that I hadn't seen since the last Adepticon, and as soon as you see him, it's like you just saw him yesterday. Everybody's like all happy, and you're all jacked up to see each other because you've got those great friendships from like literally 3 days a year, but you've got that already set base to base your friendship on. So
and you've got that I know Craig up in Canada. I've got guys over in England. I've got guys all over the United States that I could swing by and say, hey, do you mind if I stop in for a day or two? We play some games and I'm on my way to another event. It becomes that whole thing. And it's funny that you mentioned Adepticon. Blood Red Skies in particular. Everybody loves Blood Red Skies. It's a quick, easy game to play. But we couldn't figure out why. And the guys over at Lead Pursuit, Doug Glover and Brett and Steve and Casey, we couldn't crack that nut, or we couldn't figure out why people weren't attending the Blood Red Skies tournaments and stuff at some of our tournaments. And then we discovered that people would go to Adepticon, people would go to LVO, and that's the game Blood Red Skies that I play with all my friends back home. I want to see something different. So I'm here at Adepticon, which is the Mac Daddy of miniature gaming. And, I'm going to go play that, and it becomes that butterfly like Craig was alluding to earlier. I've got that Blood Red Skies in my back pocket. I'll play that all the time. Yeah. So what we had to do is we had to change our Blood Red Skies games at some of these events to a narrative or a more open kind of like meat grinder thing. And now people are starting to come to those.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we got into Blood Red Skies, because we played Mig Alley. And I think that's where we fell in love with it. And then we went into hardcore, and we even Battle of Burlington. The first one was Blood Red Skies, right? So
Yeah. Great game. Way to go, Andy. Thank you very much for that.
it's a phenomenal game. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to touch on some news. So Derek is going to take us through both 3rd edition and Adepticon, but I'm just going to put a caveat there because 3rd edition bolt action, we are on this episode are not going to talk about what's in there, what's happening, what's coming. That's going to be in a future episode. But what we do want to do, and John, feel free to jump in with your thoughts if you want to.
Sure.
Yep.
But this is just about how we feel that there's a bolt action 3rd edition.
Completely,
not the rules, nothing, just there's a bolt action 3rd edition. What does that mean, guys?
This is completely our speculation. John just happens to be here for the interview portion of it, not here for this, and the laugh at us for all our speculation. So maybe watch his facial features as we giddily, like schoolboys, say we want this or that. This is so.
I'm gonna caveat that, Derek. I'm on my 2nd alcoholic beverage, so you guys are in a good position right now.
So we might get some leaks, but that was not why John is here. So if you listened this far thinking, oh, they're going to talk about 3rd edition, John's going to spill the beans. No, John's just going to laugh at us for what we think are spilling the beans.
Well, and I've been known to spill beans, and I can say again.
I just hope to snot there's an index in the book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like Akun Panzer, right? Finally, an index. People that understand the joy and happiness we all saw. We saw the index in the back of that. Thank you, Roger Garish and Mike. 3rd edition. Okay, let's talk about bolt action. Bolt action's been around for 12 years, boys and girls. 12 years. 8 years ago, we did the version 2. 8 years, we changed one army book, Codex for you GW guys. But we changed one army book.
We don't cater to
there
that.
is now, now we're on a razor's edge. We've got over 30 campaign books that are out there, and we don't want to pull that GW that they love to do. What we're trying to do is we have to figure out how we can update. It needs to be updated. There needs to be, all the stuff in Noretta. We get so much. We get punched in the balls every time about. Oh my God, it's 45 pages. Yeah, but it covers 8 army books, 30 plus campaign books, and bolt action Korea. So I mean, it covers everything. So we need to distill that down, get that in there. So we can't change it so much that we have to update all the campaign books. Yep. But you would all agree with me that it needs to be changed.
I'm gonna say this: it hasn't been changed in 8 years. This is one of the things of the overviews that I was going to bring up. I would not be terribly, terribly disappointed or disenfranchised if those books have had to be rewritten, redid, just because unlike GW, it isn't every 2 or 3 years I've got to buy a whole whack of new sets. It's been 8 years. If whatever makes this game better requires those books to be redrafted or even amendments made to them, like, hey, we changed veteran to be an 11, and now we have to go through and you go through all your campaign books, and whenever you see a veteran, write 11, not 10. Like if that was the case, I wouldn't be upset. If it was like over the shoulder, they're gone, we're going to rewrite them and send them all out, we got all our writers back and said, here are the new rules. Honestly, it's been 8 years. That's not a breaking point for me.
Well, I appreciate that, Derek. Thank you very much.
Companies have got to stay in business, and most of the ways they stay in business nowadays are by the rules.
Yeah. Well, we all remember the Avalon Hill that had like 50 plus games that didn't change shit, and then it tanked. Avalon Hill, advanced squad leader. I mean, it never changed. They just put out more stuff, and eventually it just became this big house of cards, and it collapsed. Yeah. What we are trying to do with version 3 is we're listening to the fans. We will change the army books; those will be changed. But some of the speculation, some of the stuff is that we're going to try to get all those army lists that we can into one book. So all the American, all the British, all the German army lists, and all those campaign books are now in one place. So you don't have to buy all those other campaign books. It's all in one place. So the generic platoon kind of thing comes around. And there's been kind of speculation doing different TONEs and all that kind of stuff. But what I've heard and what I've seen is we're not going to try to do it so bad or so much. Alessio has always been known for taking away in the sport of adding. He always likes to try to cut down. And you can see in the write-up that we released, hey, here it is. It's coming. We didn't. No. We were thinking about releasing it around Salute, but then we said, oh my God, we've got Achtung Panzer, we got Epic Hail Caesar, and we got 3rd edition. If we said that we're going to do 3rd edition, and we showed the models of Epic Hail Caesar, nobody would talk about Achtung Panzer, which is a phenomenal tank game at Salute. So we held off to the next week. There was some leaks and stuff, but it happened, and it's going to trickle down. I'm very happy to say, and Craig will know, Pete Gosling is kind of in charge of that. So you know Pete, and Pete is a phenomenal guy. I love Pete, and he's got a big head, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's got it. So you're going to start seeing trickles and peaks behind that curtain from now until September when we release it. That's going to happen, and we're going to lose some players. I know we're going to lose some players, but we're going to gain a lot of players too, because you can never do exactly what that person wants for their game. And if you don't like 3rd edition, go play 2nd edition. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize or forget, in every rule book that Warlord puts out, in some form or fashion, that 2nd or 3rd paragraph says, hey, thanks for buying the game, do whatever the hell you want. But it's your game, you bought it.
Yeah, but I mean, every time somebody puts out a new rule book, they lose players. But those players come back. Oh, yeah. They're just bad because they have to learn something new. Change is bad, change is evil. They all come back.
Yeah.
I would say, not as a military man, but someone who has read many military campaign books, like historical books. Soldiers grumble, right? Yep. They just grumble and grumble. I mean, you even have, was it the French Old Guard and Napoleonic were called grumblers. I think that gamers are very close second.
Yeah.
To that, right? And very much like, this is how I want it to be. This is how I expect it. These are the rules. Here's my models. Oh, I can't wait for them to have new US Rangers. And there'll be someone about, that's not the US Rangers I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Or, that's exactly the US Rangers I wanted. You just can't. Yeah. You can't win.
Yeah.
So you have to worry when they stop grumbling, Craig.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's when you're worried.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, my thought was is twofold. One is awesome, right? Bolt Action 3rd edition, awesome. It needs it. But saying that, I don't think the core mechanics work. The game works as it is, and I think it's more probably a cleanup and of things and some messing around of the small specific things to make them more a famous, well, I'll say famous one, but an infamous one is the machine gun, right? The medium-sized machine gun, right? It's just in the rules ineffective and for the points cost that it is, but in history it is a phenomenal key component of
area denial. Yep, yeah. Eric Fontaine does a real good seminar when he explains people how to use medium machine guns or heavy machine guns effectively. Once you listen to Eric, you're like, well, Jesus, I never thought of it that way. But you're so on point, Craig. And the whole idea of a sniper being able to shoot the barrel of a machine gun and taking the whole team out, show me that picture of when that ever happened. Yeah. So, that'll be, and maybe, there's a lot of stuff been tossed around about no matter what happens, you should take one or two pins if you get hit by a machine gun just because
it's firing in your area.
Yep.
So for me, it's only small tweaks that need to be done and small clarifications of the rules and bring the errata in. And so my expectations are not, and as I understand it we got into it in Bolt Action 2nd edition, so we don't really know Bolt Action First Edition, but from what I understand, First Edition was not a huge leap to Second Edition, right? There were changes, but it wasn't. We're not again. We might sound like we're bashing Games Workshop, and as XGW staff,
Amen.
there's
No, brother.
right. They are up there, and a lot of people in the hobby have been with them, but those systems, there's a lot of significant changes that take place over those. So First Edition does not reflect 10th Edition 40k, right? So I think that to me is where I would not want to go down that route. But but the bottom line for me is awesome, great Bolt Action 3rd Edition, and I can't wait for it to come out, right? But what
go ahead, keep going, Craig.
I was just going to say, for me though, what it's done is it's given me breathing space to look at other games to play. Because Bolt Action has been I can't speak for the God, but for me, it's been my gaming system for the last
2 years.
2-3 years.
Yeah.
2-3 years, yeah.
Amen, brother.
So I think that sorry?
I think it started just before COVID. Remember we sat around and said, like, took a poll of whose was favorite rule set? Because I'd done Bolt Action 1, doing Bolt Action 2.
Evan and I are pretty much the only ones that played Bolt Action First Edition.
Yeah, and then we from then it sort of
maybe about 3-4 years. So oh my god, it doesn't seem that long, but
you're getting older,
getting older. But I think that what's been great is that we've been saying, okay, well, we played the heck out of Bolt Action at Adepticon. We just finished up a tournament, and we're like, you know what? Let's just take a break for a moment, and we're playing Epic Waterloo. Right, and we're looking at other stuff, and so I think actually it's been. I'm actually looking forward to 3rd edition, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play some other systems and have fun doing that. And I'm loving Epic rules, loving it.
And of course we'll never get rid of that. You know, the best description of it I've ever seen or heard is, it's always your turn. The dice pull coming out of that bag, it's always your turn. When you play that other game system we talked about and mentioned, GW, you know, okay, Craig, it's your turn. I'm going to come back in 45 minutes. I'm going to make the pizza, and you just tell me what you destroyed. No, when you play Bolt Action, you can't, because it's always your turn. You don't know when the dice comes out, and I don't know what it is, but it becomes a cinematic effect, and it's almost like you're watching a movie, and you're involved in a movie production, and you are in that game. I don't know how many times I've played Bolt Action. It comes down to that last damn dice. Pull and roll.
90% of the games.
It comes down to exactly. And if you don't have fun playing that kind of game, then you don't. You go somewhere else. Go play Tiddlywinks. But I mean, that's what drives. And you'll talk about that game for the rest of your life with your friends. You remember when we pulled the last dice, and you know that is again going back to what Craig and Evan and Derek and everybody said. That community, and you have immersed yourself in that community. People talk about, well, how can Warlord keep going with a game that's about World War II? World War II is old and it's going to be finite. No, World War II isn't finite. There are so many little nicks and nudges and little holes and different theaters and things that we can play with. That it's you know, there's always a debate of when did World War II start? Was it 39 or was it 36? With the invasion of China and stuff. So there's the canvas is broad and the brush is big, and we can have so much fun. Bolt Action is and for those people who are worried it might be happening, Bolt Action is half of all of our sales. It is, and it's the biggest sale of Osprey. Osprey's biggest sales thing that Osprey produces is Bolt Action. So it would be asinine if we cut this thing up and laid it out there on an altar for everybody to devour. Well, of course we're going to take care of this game. Of course we're not going to mess it up. And I'm pretty sure the level of this is a adult channel, so we can get into some other things. But it's we're not going to okay. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think we'll just move on now over to the relocation to Milwaukee of Adepticon 2025. Why don't we start with Matt and your thoughts on the relocation?
Oh, I've only been to the Chicago one twice. I was supposed to go 4 times, but could only make it twice because of whatever. So I'm not that attached to it, and I think it'd be kind of neat. Like Milwaukee for us is an extra
Hour and a half.
hour-ish, I guess.
Hour and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Hour and a half.
Depending on how much
So-
traffic you hit in Chicago.
Yeah, so for travel time in that, I don't think it's a big deal. Sounds like it's going to be a great haul in that. Craig was able to secure a place for us to stay already, which is great. So looking forward to that. Talking with a couple friends that run a store in Oakville. They're hoping, well, they're speculating that maybe it might have a better vending hall. Not that Chicago was bad, but it was kind of. I saw from the 2 times that I was there, it's like the first year, walked around, saw tons of great stuff, bought a bunch of great stuff. Second year, I was like, walked around, it's like, okay, wait, that's great, but I bought it last year. So hopefully it opens it up to some more stores to be able to be there.
The exhibitor hall. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the exhibitor hall. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think I'm a little worried about the gaming for the historicals, because I love how we were kind of separate from the chaos of the other game systems. Getting older.
That's good, Matt.
No, so
That's good.
So getting older, my hearing's not the greatest. And I kind of like the smaller room where it was a bit easier to talk to, especially going into the Saga room where it was just that tournament. But for us, it was great because there was only a few systems in there, and I think because we were all older, we were a lot quieter. And then when you do go over to the other one, it's great to walk around and see a ton of amazing stuff, amazing displays by talented gamers and that. But for me, it's like I get peopled out, and after a couple hours, I just want to step away from that.
Yeah, the comparison of GW's hall to where Bolt Action and Flames of War was, the amount of people crushed into that area, and it felt like the halls were the same size, but we could move around in our hall where they were just... it was like, is there a table in here? Is it just people, wall-to-wall people? Like, they were stuffed in there. Evan, what do you think about the relocation?
I'm looking forward to it. I was reading a bit about the actual convention center where it's going to be, and 1 million square feet, I think it is, or something stupid.
Yes, you are correct. It's going to go from 250,000 to 1 million square feet of gaming goodness. We have 1 million. We have quadrupled the space for our gaming convention now. Sorry, Evan. I just wanted to help you out there.
But to what Matt was saying, I hope it's one of those convention centers where they have those artificial walls that they can pull up with rails. Because the historical, again, also being hard of hearing, the noise in the GW type ones, I can't focus on the person in front of me. It's like it's just too much. Whereas the historicals is more like, I don't know. I like to think of it like, the library. There's the kids section, and then there's the historical nonfiction section.
Us old gray hairs, we need quiet. Whippersnappers, turn your music down.
That's right. Here's what I can tell you. Warlord has been very fortunate for the last several years to be on every month there is a meeting. We all get on, and it starts the month after Adepticon, and it is 11 months of preparation. I cannot. I know I'm tainted, but Adepticon is the Mac Daddy of gaming conventions. It is by gamers, for gamers, and with gamers. It is ran by nothing but volunteers. There is no corporate tentacles in the staff. Yeah, there's corporate support with Games Workshop and everybody else, but nobody sits on that board. Matthias and Hank came up with this, 20 plus years ago to play some 40K, and now And of course, they're a little sad that they have to move to Milwaukee, but they have outgrown every single venue in the Chicago area to make sure that you still get that same gaming experience. You guys have been there, and there is nothing like it. I don't care Salute, I don't care Gen Con, I don't care. The miniature gaming community, if you want to see miniatures, you go to Adepticon, and it is by miniature gamers, for miniature gamers. It's a convention that is so popular, the Games Workshop said, well, hell, if we're going to bring back Golden Demon, we might as well put it in Adepticon. That's how powerful this event is. And by quadrupling this space that we're going to in Milwaukee has 2 hotels on each end of this place. There's 1 million, like Evan said, 1 million square feet. Every single vendor that has been on the waiting list, and there's a shit ton of them, can now be there. So the exhibitor hall is going to be massive. It's not going to be, thank God, like Gen Con where you can't even move or breathe and you might get crushed. But it's going to have 1 million square feet. You might have to pay for parking. Oh my God. And you might have to, and it's really funny. One of the guys was complaining, that he's not really excited about have to go to Milwaukee. And my good friend, and you know him, Craig, Jason Doc Dyer, responded to this guy and said, oh, let me guess, you're from Chicago. He goes, yeah. So basically, for the last 20 plus years, you've been benefiting from having the best fucking convention in your backyard. And now you have to suffer what 80% of everybody else has had to go to this place, Adepticon.
Yeah.
If you, and all your listeners, if you can get to Adepticon for a day or 2 days, Adepticon is like no other place. Now, it was magical in Schaumburg. It was the greatest place around. But now we can just expand it. Now realize that 90% of these volunteers are living in Chicago. Now they're going to be transporting over to Milwaukee. Hank and his crew hire 4 semi-truck trailers to move all this stuff that they have for Adepticon. Wow. They're going to now have to say, yeah, they've got a storage shed in Illinois that is freaking like you walk in and you swear to God you saw the Ark of the Covenant. But I mean, they've got all that terrain. It's got to be stored somewhere. All that terrain has to be painted. Every single table when you go to Adepticon has unique, hand-printed, handmade terrain from the manufacturer or something. It's not some bullshit gray box.
Yeah.
It is, you're going to play on some of the best terrain. You guys have seen it. And they have to move that now from someplace in Illinois to Schaumburg, now someplace in Illinois to Milwaukee. And 20 years ago, this is where Gen Con was. And this is...
but the difference between Gen Con and Adepticon is, like you said, Adepticon is for gamers, for miniature gamers. Gen Con is for everybody. Role players, some miniatures, everything. Video games.
The best, Derek, the best analogy for Gen Con I've ever heard is that all of us, Craig, Evan, Matt, Derek, we're going to go over to Craig's house, play D&D. Okay? Now, Evan's got this new pizza he wants to bring over and cook for us. Matt's got this really cool game book he just read, and Derek's got this movie he just saw. So we all roll over to Craig's house, and we're going to play D&D. When we get there, and we have to cook the pizza that Evan brought. And so we're waiting for the pizza to cook. Matt starts talking about this book, and then Derek sneaks over and throws in the movie. So we watch the movie, talk about the book, eat pizza, and don't play a fucking day of D&D.
Yeah.
That's Gen Con.
That's our Friday night.
You might think you're going to Gen Con to do this, but you'll never get there because Gen Con is just, again, I've been to Gen Con. I love Gen Con, but it's about everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's at Gen Con, and miniature gamers go to Adepticon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How was Adepticon for Warlord in 2024? Like
this year compared to last year, you saw our new booth. We rolled out our new booth that we stole. We got from an idea from Mantic. Thank you very much, Chopper, for your ideas and suggestions. We had, according to the bean counters, Colin and the boys,
We had a 45% increase this year compared to last year.
Wow.
Just by opening
Yeah,
up and changing
45%.
that. Wow.
Yeah, 45%. We had a 45% increase from. We have better banners. I mean, it's not John's boot sale anymore. We had better banners. We had better stock. We had better rolling stock. You guys saw the booth, and it's now professional. I'm happy to say that I work for Warlord and I have a professional booth, and but we had according to our bean counters, we had a 45% increase from last year.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. And so you were saying that that Adepticon is for North America is the largest show. I'm assuming the Warlord goes to
In North America, yeah.
in North America.
Yeah.
What are you able to tell us or give us an insight into any plans for Milwaukee that you're going to be doing? Is that all hush hush?
Well, there's a game that we have acquired that we bought the IP for. Hint, hinge, nudge, known as say no more, say no more. That there's going to be a major announcement. Thank you, Pete Gosling, at Adepticon next year.
Okay, don't say it.
I'm very,
I'm probably wrong, but I'm hoping I'm not.
I'm very, very excited about it, but we now own the rights to it, and it is going to be freaking amazing what we're going to do with that. Because once you own the IP, like, GW does, he's happy dance. So there's going to be some major announcements for, if not releases, at next year's Adepticon. And in fact, Hank has offered, we all have to, face it, we all have to acknowledge that the gorilla in the room is Games Workshop. But without Games Workshop, Craig, and you know this as well as I do,
Yeah, there would be no
90% of the people who work at, there would be no gaming community. 90% of the people who work at Warlord are former GW guys. I'm a former GW guy. Craig's a former, they're just, but they trained us so well, and Brian Ansel, God rest his soul, really took care of that and made sure that customer service was on point.
We're talking
And
about
customer
Mythic
service
America,
is a
right?
big thing. What's that?
We're talking about Mythic America, right?
Well, yeah, that too. Okay, and we can talk about Mythic America some as well, because that's another game near and dear to my heart, and I had a fun time helping them develop that. I had a little finger in that pie as well, and there's a lot more, Derek, if you want to talk about Mythic America that we can talk about. I just talked to Nelson today, in fact, over there in Mythic Studios about what's going on. But we have to say thank you for Games Workshop for what they've done. They've been around for 30 plus years, 40 plus years, and they have a great system, and they do great. But it's just, thank you for that. But there's so many other games we can do, and there's so many things we can play that, and they are they have a release day at Adepticon. Well, Hank said, hey, would Warlord like to have a release night? I said, fuck yeah. So we're going to have a release night at Adepticon.
Yay!
Of some of the stuff that we don't know. It might not be the Wednesday, because hell no, I want to compete with GW. We have the same initials, but no, I'm not going to do that. And yes, there is some stuff back in there in another store we can tell over adult beverages while we have WG, not GW. But we might have a release night at Adepticon next year. So excited.
That'd be fantastic. The only thing I'll ask a question, but the only thing for me, because I've never been to Milwaukee, is I just hope that they do as good as Chicago deep pan pizza in Milwaukee.
Oh, well, you're not going to get deep pan maybe, but you're going to get some really good brats, and you're going to get some really good, cheese curds and stuff like that. And there's a lot more restaurants around that location downtown than there is at Schaumburg. There's like right outside the door, there's like a bevy of different kind of restaurants.
We took advantage of an Airbnb that probably doesn't know that this is going to happen. So next year, the prices will go right back through the roof, or they might cancel on us because they realize that something's happening and trying to get a better rate from people.
he already knows. He was like, "You guys are early," and he found out that there was a convention, but too late.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, so he didn't cancel us. Oh, that's
we're-
awesome. I thought for sure once he found out, he'd try to cancel on us.
But we found Airbnb that's an old brewery, like in a brewery district kind of a thing, and it's surrounded by breweries. So I'm like, okay, this is exactly what we want.
So
I'll be visiting you, Craig. No,
we might make it to Adepticon, but we might be doing the brewery tour.
oh hell yeah, yeah. I mean, it's beer. Come on, it's Milwaukee.
Oh, that's Milwaukee, right? So, question I have got for you, John, is if there was a gaming system that you would love to see, whether Warlord ran it or Community ran it, of any Warlord game that is not being run now, but you would love to see run in Milwaukee, what would that be?
When he says not being run now, Craig implies not being
bolt
run
action.
at
Yeah, basically not bolt
Yes,
action.
yes.
We tried to do something like this last year, and I apologize to the people who tried to sign up, and we tried to do it. But in the past, at several conventions, Twisted Lords Con, that's a convention we run here in Oklahoma City. That's the Warlord convention that we do here. And we've done it at Mythic Studios that Derek was talking about. We've done it there. I like to take Cruel Seas, Bolt Action, Blood Red Skies, and a little game we call Skirmish, and we put 4 games. It's the old Epic / Inquisitor / 40K thing that we used to do, and BFG that we used to do, Craig, back in GW days. And I'll have 4 different tables set up, and we've done this before, and it works, and it is phenomenal. But you run a bolt action game that's going on all the time. You just keep on throwing the squads in and you're playing it. And then you'll do a Blood Red Skies game that you'll run bombers through if you're doing Stalingrad, or you'll run Bettys through if you're doing Guadalcanal. And if they make it off the board, they can affect that bolt action game. And then you run a Victory at Sea or a Cruel Seas game that if the Bontradas get down the Volga, they can shell Germans, or if the E-boats stop them, or if you let the troop ships get down the slot, they can unload Japanese troops. And then on the skirmish game, we released some rules a while ago called the Academy of Street Fighting. Originally, these are based off of Alessio's rules. And I love Alessio to death, and he's a European, and sometimes he puts titles on some of his rules that just don't quite fit in North America. These rules were called Playing with Single Men. Okay. It is exactly what it is. I get it, but it is skirmish rules for both action, and we released a rule set called the Academy of Street Fighting. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, we also released another set of rules called the Libyan Taxi Service, which is even more. Thank you, Tom McCready and Richard Carlisle. The taxi services, there's skill trees and stuff, and it's great. And if you're interested, let me know. I can send that to you. But the skirmish rules are 1 guy, 1 dice. So it is truly a skirmish game. So if you have 10 guys, there's 10 dice in the bag for your guys, and 10 dice. So if Matt's playing, he's got 10 guys. So there's 20 dice in the bag, and it's 1 dice, 1 dude. Right, so we'll do like Guadalcanal. If you can get through the Japanese village, let's say Guadalcanal. If you're playing Blood Red Skies, if the Bettys get through the Foss and his Thatch Weave kind of stuff, they can bomb some squad on the board. If the if the Cruel Seas guys get down, the Japanese get 2 squads of reinforcements. If the Marine Corps Raider Scouts get across the board, neutralize or get through the Japanese on the skirmish board, then they can infiltrate on the flanks 2 squads of Marines. Or if you want to play Germans, play Stalingrad. So we've done this a couple times, and the Combined Arms board game kind of works for this, but it's using 4 game systems on 4 different tables all at the same time, having some fun. We've got a new board game coming out. It's going to be crowdfunding this month called Vanguard.
which
Yeah.
is
Right,
you can
yeah.
come check it out. Go, yeah. You saw the stuff that Pete had sitting in our booth. That is a true board game for bolt action with logistics involved, which is logistics is always the bread and butter of any war. You have to have that in there. But I would love to see, and I tried to set some up last year, but unfortunately I didn't have the manpower to make sure people who signed up for that, because you could go play if you had a couple hours. You could go play we had tables set up for Victory at Sea, Blood Red Skies, Cruel Seas, or Bolt Action, that you could do it, and then you change the markers on the boards for combined arms to who owns what, and at the end you can figure out who won that war. But we didn't have anybody 24/7 man in those tables.
Yeah.
So, and again, I apologize to those people who signed up for that, and we just couldn't quite make it work. But that's something I think now that we have, and that's something that people don't realize. There's so much stuff that goes behind the curtain. Hank and Matthias and his whole staff of 200 plus volunteers have to do so much, behind the scenes. If you guys have all run tournaments or been at tournaments or conventions, you know that there's so much involved. Hell, Craig, you remember open days, right? All the shit that we had to do for open days. And they have to get the terrain. They have to get the stuff there. And one of the limiting factors was space and tables. Well, now we got a square feet. I can't not say that and not laugh. It's just 1 million square feet, 4 times the size of what Adepticon is going to be that now. So that means more tables they have to rent. More tables they have to get get delivered. They rent. I mean, the convention hall only has so many, so they have to purchase.
They pretty much clean
rent.
out Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you're going to talk about some. I'm not going to say it fell off the truck, but you know what I mean. So you've got to work with those individuals to get that done. So we have to get those tables in place. But now we're going to have so much space to do some of these wacky ideas. I'm excited to maybe finally get to see. You guys didn't. I don't know if you've ever been experienced with the pirate guys who do that 28 millimeter pirate. I love those guys that get Zach and Mike and all those guys. A couple of years ago, right before COVID, they did that big pirate game where it was all 28 millimeter. That's 50, 60 square feet of stuff. We had them last year at TLC. Phenomenal, but they take up a lot of space, and it's dead space for a couple hours during that convention. Well, now with 1 million square feet, I think they can do it. But I think that interaction, because the whole combined arms, man, I'm really ranting. I'm sorry. The whole idea of combined arms with air, land, and sea is so hard to reflect on a board game, miniature game. And Warlord has those games in place that if you can just put them next to each other, you can see how naval, air, and army interact with each other. And that would be long answer to a short question. That's what I'd like to see.
We had an idea similar to that. We were going to reach out to Chicago Dice and and talk to Lead Pursuit, because with more of a club challenge, and then have Lead Pursuit do the air, bolt action, combat patrol, and then
hell yeah, they'd love it.
And then Cruel Seas with us, and then best players of all, best club score, however we wanted to do it, and then that's how you got your land, sea, air kind of thing.
It was Iron Man or Iron Person. It was basically you have to play 4 days of games, and because thinking about it, you could actually on the 3rd day have the tournament with the Lead Pursuit guys and do Blood Red Skies, and then on the Sunday is do Victory at Seas or something like that.
Yeah. So you do.
Good. Oh no, I love. Yeah, let's keep working on that. That's brilliant. I love it.
So that was
that
was just something we tossed around. I think it was episode 2 or 3 or something like that. Season 1.
Yeah. That was with Andrew of Chicago Dice.
Yeah. To me, Victory at Sea is such a slippery rabbit hole for me, because I could fall into that and just get lost for a week, because that game system, miniatures, everything is just so eloquent, so brilliant, so beautiful. I love it. I keep on having to. I'll buy a ship every once in a while, but I'm trying. Yeah. There's a big pile over there, but I'm just like.
Just as another thing before we switch topics, but have you thought about, and you probably have, a Warlord Games painting competition?
Oh yeah, we do that at ReaperCon. we actually team up with Trenchworks, and we actually have a painting competition at ReaperCon. We did it 1 year, 2 years ago at Adepticon, and now that we have space, now that we have personnel, now we have things, I think we should do it again.
Because
It won't be anything like it won't be anything like the Golden Demon, but
I don't know. I've seen some of those guys painting at the Combat Patrol. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah,
there are some
there's
amazing painters there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as much as and I know it's a longer trip for you guys, but as much as Adepticon is miniature gaming for gamers by gamers, ReaperCon down in Denton, Texas, is painters for painters by painters. When you walk into the main hall, instead of 30 vendors, you have 30 painters, sculptors, verified award-winning guys that are sitting in your booth. Oh, hi, Matt. Well, what do you want to talk about? And you can talk to James Walpole and all these golden, demon winners. That it's just amazing. And the Denton Convention Center, when they decided to build it, several of the members on the board who designed it were from Reaper. So this convention hall / hotel had gamer influence put into the designs. There's open spaces, there's natural lighting, there's greenery, there's carpet everywhere. Reaper is exactly what Adepticon is, but for painters and sculptors. And they have a painting competition where you compete against yourself. And what happens is 4 or 5 of these known, credited painters come up and they'll critique your model, and they'll give you either an honorable mention, gold, silver, or bronze. And you'll win that on your merit, not against everybody else's, but on what you can do. And if you want to ask them, they're hanging around, and you can say, well, why'd you grade me on this? Well, it's because of this and this. And they can give you hints. So as much as Adepticon is a miniature convention, Reaper is a painting. Yeah, okay, it's put on by Reaper, but oh my God. Yeah, and it's only 2 hours away from my place. And it's Memorial Day weekend, same time as Nova and same time as DragonCon. But ReaperCon in Denton, Texas is what Adepticon is for miniatures, for painters. And it is a whole nother world. Sorry, sidetrack.
No, that's
love that.
John, I've already worked out how long it's going to take me to drive there.
Yeah. Well, what you can do, Evan, is you just fly into Oklahoma City. It is an international airport. You tell me when you're coming down. I'll pick you up. You stay at my house. We'll hang out in the pool, have some fun, and we'll go down. I'll drive you down. We got the rooms, and you can just do that way. My invitation is there.
And we'll talk a whole lot of 2000 AD because I'm the only one here who wants to play it.
Oh, now, okay. That's a whole nother game system I freaking love. I mean, Slanja, ABC Warriors, Dread. Oh my God, I did a huge thing with Angry Joe about Dread, and I just freaking love it. And of course, then, Strontium Dog's my boy. But, that's a whole nother, oh my, oh, Evan, we got to talk. That's a whole nother system right there. Yeah, I love, and you'd be happy to know, I was talking with Andy the other day, and the next thing might just be Rogue Trooper. And there's I know. And there's so many different ways we can, okay, so we could do Rogue Trooper like we have with, Strons and Dread, and you have that same system, because that engine works so well. Or we do it Epic. And then we do the whole new art. Yeah, see, I can see Craig. We can do the whole war for New Earth, and we can do the North and the South, and then Rogue becomes a little
space battle as well.
Exactly.
The asteroid farming area.
Yeah, I mentioned that to Randy, and he goes, typical Andy. But it's just one of those. Yeah. So yes, Rogue is probably the next thing, or. We might do Torque Armada, or we might do, there's, we've got, every year we've got a thing we put out for 2000 AD. And that engine between Gav and Andy that came up with, and Roger Garris did a little bit on Judge Dredd. But I mean, that engine works. Slanja is so good. ABC Warriors is so good. And it is just, it works. And then again, it's that always your turn system that just, turns into another game system, and the models are phenomenal. Who doesn't want a big old ass robot, right?
Yeah.
You could also, I mean, tell the sky's the limit because you could the whole ABC Warriors campaign. All of those walls.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
we did Block Wars. We just released Block War too. So I mean, whether you like Stallone or you like Urban, it doesn't matter. Each of them had great things, but yes, there it is. Is that number 44? Is that
the bookshelf in the cupboard?
Is that 44?
This one is number 1. I've been collecting it since Case Files number 1 came out.
Yes, and then that's when I go up to this weekend. I'm going to go up to Minneapolis, and there's a place called The Source, and every time I walk in that door, my wallet screams because it's an old National Guard armory, and half of it is gaming, and half of it is graphic novels. Oh my God! And they have everything. Yeah, Source, and that's one of the things that's. I know we're going to tangent again, Craig, but that's one of the fun things about the job that I have is I find I find destination stores. I find like the Source in Minneapolis, Gajo Games, a 3-story gaming store in Salt Lake City, and then there's a Dragon's Lair down in San Antonio, Adventure Games up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, of all places. Oh my God, Teddy and those guys kick-ass mail order, one of the best mail orders around. Teddy and his crew does that. I mean, you find, and then of course Mythicos Studios, Derek, over in New Jersey. Mythicos is just another phenomenal destination store. But you find these destination stores, Crossroads up in Maine, up in Portland, Maine. Crossroads, another. I mean, there's, and then of course now Old Guard. I know it's going to be at a great place because Andy Hobday says it's the best hobby store he's seen in 30 years. So I can't wait to get there to go see the brand new brick and mortar for Badger Games. And that's what's fun about some of these brick and mortar. Oh, and then there's the War Zone. There's a place down in Dallas that has a brewery in the middle of it, and it's like 3,000 or 4,000 square feet of tables. So I mean, come on, right? I mean, it just boggles my mind, Craig, that 30 years ago when we started doing this, and I'm not gonna, it's probably longer, but I'm not gonna say, but when we started doing this stuff in this hobby, what we had then and what we had now. And I don't want to sound like a gray-haired ape. I mean, holy shit. The stuff that these kids have access to today is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Well, just looking at the difference in painting 30 years ago until today. It's night and day.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a kid with finger paints versus Da Vinci.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys are close enough. I mean, if you get a chance in November, Renegade GT in Minneapolis. It's in Plymouth, Minnesota. It's a great little event. It's near the border. It's a lot of fun. Snafu boys, Patrick and Dale and Rich and I'm gonna forget his name. Shit, sorry. Those guys put on such a great show, and I love doing that. It's a great convention, and it's 10 minutes from my sister's house. So what the hell? So I just stay there instead of the hotel.
Which one?
But Renegade GT. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking which one it was. Renegade GT. Yeah. That's what I was asking.
Renegade GT. Yep, Renegade GT in November, the week before Thanksgiving. So I go up there a couple days ahead of time, chat with my sister, do the event, and then stay over for Thanksgiving.
Your Thanksgiving.
That's usually, and that's usually the last convention I do in my circuit. Like I said earlier, I usually do about 30 to 40,000 miles a year. Last year I did 48,000. I drove 36,000. Headquarters says you're getting too old, John. You're not a spring chicken. You got to slow down. So they maybe just pick 12 plus 3 trade shows because trade shows are easy. So, but Renegade GT is definitely, and our Adepticon will always be on there. So, oh man, we've really gone down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I was going to say just touching on Judge Dredd and stuff. I'm a big Judge Death fan. That's my.
Oh yeah, and
just how he was drawn.
There's more stuff coming.
I'm gonna drag us back into the podcast and say, Evan, why don't we talk about Operation Claymore, do the debrief, and then we can get John to drag us down yet another rabbit hole.
So you start talking about Hail Caesar Epic, and
hi,
it'll be a whole another half hour. So go.
Yeah. So actually, I think because
The time?
how well the show is going and where we're at, we're going to do the debrief of Operation Claymore as an article. So we'll
That's
do that
awesome.
online.
Yep.
You'll get to see the pictures, the awards, the results. Be all online in the next. Well, the date of recording is the 14th. So it should be up in about the next 7 days. So we'll do that. Get that
How
done.
much we can't talk about that, Greg?
Yeah, no. This is going.
No,
this is awesome. This is how it should be, right?
We wanted to put a bunch of stuff in here that we weren't sure, like we could get to, but we weren't sure if how much we'd be talking about everything. If that's the case, can we talk more about some other things that are coming up for?
Got elephants.
Or do you just want to move the rest of
Yes.
this all into?
Well, it depends what your pachyderm related question is, right?
Oh no, my packet. I don't have any pachyderm questions. I was just saying, we should move into like more direct questions to John as opposed to sides.
So why are Carthaginians the best faction in the Hail Caesar box set?
Yeah,
Because they got elephants.
Because they have elephants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like how the trade release was for customers. Elephants. For businesses, they have elephants. Tell your customers they have elephants.
And Evan, that goes back to last year's Open Day in the UK. Somebody started talking to John, and he said, "Well, wouldn't it be great to see elephants in Epic scale?" And that just cracked open that whole. I mean, come on, Hail Caesar is one of the best game systems. It's War Master historical. I mean, Craig knows this. Everybody knows it. Black Powder and Hail Caesar is all. It's historical War Master, which War Master always was a great system that we had for Games Workshop, and and Hail Caesar is a phenomenal game, and now we have it in Epic. And yes, there are decals in that box set, and oh my God, yeah, okay, so it's got a $300, almost $400 USD price tag, but holy shit balls! There's got to be over. I haven't counted it, but when you see that picture of what's in that box, look closer. And there's like a ×6, ×4, ×3, ×6, ×5. Now, I mean, holy shit! There's 2 full armies in that box set, and there's decals for the shields, and there's a unique now system. We've discovered it with Epic Waterloo and Epic ACW. That everybody gets a sprue, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is look at all the detail," but it's not 3 feet. But so they paint it like this, but they play it like 3 feet, and unfortunately they go, "Well, hell, I can't paint this, or I don't want to paint this." Well, that's why it's gray for Confederate and blue for Union, and we have French is blue, and we've got British is red, but for the Hail Caesar, they've come up with a very cool system for the Romans where there's a 3 rank on this sprue, and I don't know if you've seen the picture how it breaks apart.
Yeah.
But the back part is back, the middle part is just the heads, and the front rank's the front. So you're only going to paint a third of each of the figures, but when you snap them together, Bob's your uncle, and bang, you had a 3 rank that's really cool looking, and then you put the decals in the front.
Yeah, it does. We're pretty excited by it. You can hear it in my voice. We're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. We always were excitable, Craig. That's
right.
One of the best things I love about you.
Yeah, just that atypical British upper lip kind of thing. Derek, were there any specific questions that you had?
No, I was just quickly trying to put up a picture of the Hail Caesar box so that everybody could see what he was talking about.
Yeah, Hannibal.
Hoping, cross fingers, hoping we're having. It comes out the 26th of July, but we're hoping to have some stuff at Historicon the week before.
I can't do it because it's a WebP page, or WebP picture, and my OBS doesn't look at that. Or it might, but it's not at this moment. Without me fiddling and fucking, I thought I could get it as a PNG. So that everybody can see the tone.
What's your this year in the releases that are coming out for Warlord? What is the number one thing you're looking forward to? If you could pick one thing that's coming out, what would you be like? Oh, I'm really looking to get into that.
Good question. Well, of course, there's a few things for Korea, but we'll talk about that later. I'm really excited about Hail Caesar Epic. I know Bolt Action 3rd Edition will be phenomenal. Some people have asked me about how that will affect Korea. It's not going to affect Korea in what the book says. It's going to affect on the dynamics of Bolt Action, the mechanics of that. I'm working on and we'll release. There's a big Bolt Action Korea tournament in Wales next month, so I've already started working on. Every year I put out an update, and we do some things. It finally made the errata, unless you'll put it in there, but there's a bunch of other things for that. But sorry, long story short, question answer. Hail Caesar Epic. I mean, I don't have a lot of it, but like I didn't have a lot of ACW, but now, son of a bitch, I've got a whole freaking box of that crap now that I got to paint now. Because I didn't. ACW was one of those systems that I didn't ever play, but now I play. So Hail Caesar is going to be. There's just something about it when you put our epic system out there, and a lot of people kind of bitched about it. Look, we made it epic because we wanted to put a regiment on one sprue. It's 13.7 millimeters. Okay, fine, whatever. We call it epic scale. The pocket shot is more 15. Hopefully the Hail Caesar might maybe more 15. But the reason why we did it that scale is we want to put everything we could on one sprue. The magic of what we have today with technology, we can put a whole regiment on one sprue. So you get, 3 regiments. That's a brigade. It's all right there. And it's 2 years ago at Millennium Con, another Mac Daddy convention down in Texas that Charlie Turok and his crew put out that's just phenomenal. We had over 600 plus ACW epic stands on a tabletop.
Wow.
And it just looks right. That 15/13.7 millimeter scale looks right on that scale. And Hail Caesar is just it's gonna blow your socks off. It's just the color, the pomp, the circumstance of that period, and the finesse and the glory of those rule systems. That's so simple. It's just one of those, Jervis and Rick and Andy and all those guys that you all know, Craig, sat down and they wanted to put a system of rules out that you could play a Napoleonic game in 3 or 4 hours. Black powder, Hail Caesar. You can have a game, sit down, have some libations, have some friends, play it, and it's gone.
But Napoleonics is supposed to be 3 to 4 months. You guys have broken the mold. There's no wind, there's no rain.
This is going to blow your mind. We one time, I was over at John's place to play the Thursday night games at his house, and we played Black Powder. 45 minutes done. 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We all got done. We're like, are we finished? Yeah, I think we're finished. And John came in. What's the next move? We're like, John, we're done. 45 minutes because everybody charged and failed and everything. But you can have fun, play it, and it's more about, again, we're going back, this whole evening we've talked about, yeah, people come for the game, but it's the community, it's the stories, it's the time shared with friends. That's what is the essence of this game. And that's what we play, and that's what we like. And Hail Caesar and Black Powder give you that chance to do that cinematic effect. I don't know what it is, that, the French, je ne sais quoi, whatever, that gives you a chance to have some fun with your friends for a night. That's what it is. And I'm excited about Hail Caesar.
I think one of the things, like, we've taken, we're loving Waterloo, and one of the things, because we're kind of getting into character with it, I think several of the guys have got pipes. They've got these big smoking pipes.
Not just any pipes. We all have church warden pipes. Like, they're 12, 14 inches long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome. Why the hell not, right?
Yeah, and I think that we like giving orders, 50-second Oxfordshire.
There it is.
There it is. And I think the fact we like holding each other accountable to the orders that we give.
Yes.
Oh, that went terribly wrong, right? So it is definitely there's there's the game and the mechanics to it, and of course, you know, your friends and beer and whatever. But I think with ACW, Waterloo, Piker's Shot is that there is also a persona that's added onto the players.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's you need to play this role, and that actually makes it more fun. And I think the War Master system, how you want to say it, exacerbates it, multiplies it,
Yes.
right? It just kind of is, well, you can't just say, well, I'm going to move 6 inches with that unit or whatever.
No.
It's got to be like, okay, 52nd foot, quick march, up to the fence, and whatever. And if it goes spectacularly wrong or right or what, it just adds to the game. And I think that is something that I've, especially in Waterloo, I've really come to love in that rules and in the game.
Yes.
But how it makes us as friends and gamers
Interact.
like to say interact, thanks to interact, take on that sort of persona thing and just kind of play that, and it's fun. It's hilarious. You know, we were talking because it's my 50th in a few weeks, so we're doing a big Waterloo battle for the day, whatever that looks like.
That'll be our first battle report live, or not live, but tapes.
But, it might be live for the first few hours, but okay. But I think we're going to talk about having we might get some brandy in and just kind of really soak up the atmosphere of being those kind of generals. That would be
for me. That. Waterloo is the game I love to hate.
Yeah.
I love to hate the game. Like it's just me. I'm not. That's not my history. That's not the genre of history that I like. I like World War II. I like Ancients. I play the game with the guys. I get into it. I'm really having fun. Then something happens that just blows my mind, and I'm like, this doesn't work in my mind. I hate this game, but I'm still having fun. I love.
And 20 minutes later, something happens. You like, this is awesome.
Yes, I love to hate this game. I go out of my way to hate this game, but I would never deter anybody from playing it because it is just that. It is fun. It is so immersive. Everybody around you will suck you in. I hate it.
I love giving orders in it compared to other games.
Yeah,
because like the example from one of the early games of Craig, he's like, okay, my Scots Greys are gonna charge up as far as they can. Rolls a dice, and they can go.
They roll a 3, so they just
go.
And they right at the back on my line, attacking my cannons. It's like turn 1. It's like, what the heck are you doing here?
So you really gotta be careful with your wording. It's like, okay, I want you guys to go up to this spot on the table. You just gotta be a lot more careful with it.
Yeah, because when you want that distance run, that's when you roll your 7 or your 11, and they just go, we're just going to sit here. So,
Every time I tell people about Bolt Action or Hail Caesar, I tell them, look, your orders can be as vague or as precise as you want.
Yeah.
Go up there and kick the ass of the enemy, or go up to that fence post and go left 3 moves. You know, it's just it's a fun. Now I've also heard people complain about, well, I keep blowing my command roll and I'm screwed. Well, okay, you're fucked.
But that's dice.
You still do 1 move.
No, I agree.
We went down the tangent. So I'm going to bring us back up. What else are you looking forward to this year that you can tell us about? Because there's one thing I know I want to hear from you, but I know I can't hear from you. So what other things are you looking forward to? Because we've discussed it before, so I know I'm not going to ask you.
2024 Warlord Games has been such a phenomenal year.
It's amazing.
We had ABC Warriors. We had Hail Caesar Epic. We have now Bolt Action 3. There will be 1 or 2 more nuggets, Pete says, that are going to happen that I wish I could tell you. I'm looking at a box of a system that we own the IP for that as soon as some paperwork is signed, I can talk about. But I'm really, really, really excited about that. Because, when you start talking about
or ping ping and pew pew on some systems that kind of match bolt action. That is going to be just, yeah, I know, Derek. It's going to be
I'm trying to get
amazing.
it to slip, but it's not going to slip.
I know. It's just, there's so many things that are going to happen this year that are just unbelievable.
I can't believe how much you guys are releasing in 1 year. Like how many new things you guys are going for. This is like the year of Warlord.
This year has been crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Craig.
But I was going to say, I would say that all the stuff that Warlord is releasing this year is like new, right? It's all new. It's all next generation miniatures. That every game is raising the level on the technology that's being used to manufacture and deliver that to the gamers, and so it's and Bolt Action 3rd edition, but it's something different. But I mean, it's awesome in the fact that it's a new edition, right, for Bolt Action. But everything else that is coming or has been released is taken that to a next level and has been new, and technology-wise has been new, and that's why Hail Caesar looks great, because the technology that's been used for that.
And we finally released our own 28mm ACW stuff. You know, and then we've got Skytrex has got so many different things that they can produce. And Skytrex, well, hell, Andy came up with those Achtung Panzer templates, card holders, and dice track. I don't know if you've seen the stuff that he just released.
Ordered one.
Mike and Roger Garish and Mike came up with, who doesn't like tanks? And that's a whole nother. Now you can put your Yag Tiger or your King Tiger on the board that you bought because it was cool, but you couldn't play in bolt action. Now you can put it on the table and play, and Achtung Panzer plays so fast, and it is so much fun. I mean, I really enjoy playing Achtung Panzer lately. I mean, it's just there's so many things, and if it becomes popular, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, know what I mean? We might do Desert, we might do East Front, we might do West Front, we might do different cards. One of my Raiders, Sebastian, did up a card for Oddball Hero, and that card is awesome. Now we have to come up with what is Woof Woof, what is maybe a 90mm, and what is Negative Waves for Achtung Panzer. So now Roger and the guys have to come up with those things. And paint. What does paint do in Achtung Panzer? So, I mean, okay. So we take ourselves serious. We also have a little bit of fun.
Well,
and you're right, Craig. There's this year, I think of all the years I've been with Warlord, 2024 is just really a pivotal year for us.
So our new sales rep, Isaac, I got to give him a shout out.
Oh, Isaac's great. Isaac's great. I just talked to him today.
Every email he puts out, he's like, and Friday night, I'm going to be playing Achtung Panzer. Like, he has been screaming that to the point where I'm now this order, because at Adepticon I'm like, I'm not getting into that game. Yeah. I like my bolt action. I like my K-47. I'm not gonna be And then I was like, hey Matt, are we getting into this game?
Well, and I've also ordered the books and stuff, so I got dragged into it.
So
we
are Warlord fanboys. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The fact that the baggage stuff that we put in, I'm hoping that we sell them separately. But the British stowage, the Russian stowage, the German stowage, the American stowage are different. The American has like a guitar case. The Russians have that Drinka, and then the German one has a different one, and the British one has bagpipes and a teddy bear. I mean, it's just stuff. The stowage you can put on the back of your tank is just phenomenal. And they're so.
Please sell those separately, because so many of us, so many games already have all the techniques. So that'd be awesome.
Why not? Yeah. It's just and the new crew figures that we have. Well, Germans aren't new, but all the other ones are brand new, and they're in the new Warlord Resin Plus, which is again, John likes to call that the alchemy of manufacture. We will always, Warlord is at the heart of historical game company, and we will always, Pete Haley and his crew will always have metal. We will always have metal. We'll never get rid of metal because that is the core of historical gaming. Now, stating that, Pete Gosling is coming up with some new ideas to do Warlord Resin Plus, and a lot of our stuff that's coming out Warlord Resin Plus. All of our weapons teams, 6 guys and a dice, 3 dice, and the stuff in the box for like 24 US is kind of nice. But we'll be doing more and more with our new Warlord Resin stuff with our machines. But we'll always have metal, but there's so much you can have and so much fun with different storage packs, different poses. This new I showed you guys earlier, the new Ranger screws with the hard metal. Hard plastic. Of all of our plastics, the only ones left are the Russians in Russian Winter. That are only the Russians in the bolt action system need a weapon sprue. Everybody else has got the hands and the weapons, and these Rangers do not disappoint. And a little nod to Saving Private Ryan. There's 7 special heads that you can do if you want to do those guys. So these new plastic sprues are just they're phenomenal. Let's see if I can grab one.
Yeah, the plastic stuff's great.
John, I think you unplugged yourself. Nope, still can't hear you.
We've lost your audio.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
How about now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take off the headset. You always have this basic core here in the center of the bodies. But now we have, knives, and we have flashlights, and we have axes, and we have the special heads from Saving Private Ryan. And so the ability to put the maximum amount on these sprues that we have now is just incredible. And it's just, again, that technology that we have is just crazy.
John, when you say the seven heads from are you saying there's a head that's been sculpted for each of the main characters? So there is a Tom Hanks head, or looking like Tom Hanks head.
Yeah, all these right here in the top. If you're looking at the sprue, the top right from the front that has all the imprintation that says Warlord. These 7 heads right here have a head that's inspired by one of the characters from Band of Brothers.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
And look, there's the there's the bar, the Diesel's character. There's the sniper rifle. They're all here. Tom Hanks's character, Diesel's character. They're all right there.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Combat Patrol on me.
I know. I was just thinking that. Damn it!
Oh man,
John.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, here, let me grab the box.
I hate you.
Oh my gosh.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah, here's the back of the box. When you get it, you'll see.
Oh yeah.
Combat Patrol, here we come.
And they're all, number 1, number 2 is Private Johnson. Number 3 is Private First Class Rebens. Number 4 is Private Mellish's head. Number 5 is Private First Class Caparzo. Number 6 is Horvath. Number 7 is Cap Miller's. And then there's hand grenades. There's trench knives. There's pick Maddoxes. There's flashlights. There's banglers, satchel charges. Everything that you got in the Rangers box set with metal is now all hard plastic. 6 guys on a sprue, 5 sprues in a box, 30 dudes.
And that's one of the things that people ask me about Caveat. They're always worried about, well, what is Warlord worried about 3D printing? And I'm like, we don't give a shit. Because unlike other companies that have the same GW kind of thing, we don't put out 5 guys for $110. We put out 30 guys for $56. And until the 3D system, the 3D people can make it, they can put out 30 guys with all the options we have on those sprues you saw for $50. You can't do it. You just can't do it with the resin and the time and the effort. If I made 5 guys that were $110, like some other companies with the same initials that we have, yeah, I'd be worried as shit. But no.
Yeah.
3D printing right now isn't good. I mean, it doesn't bother. Now, it's cool that you can do that like Panzer II F or that Panzer III G that we don't do. Good luck, knock yourself out. And Trenchwork does some great work on that. And hell, Victoria's doing some great stuff that you could use. I've got a whole, going back to one of my favorites, I have a whole, bolt action table for Operation Chariot. And I've done all of the commandos by name on their base. And I use Victoria Miniatures that she has kilt guy. And 14 of the guys that went into Chariot had kilts. So I used her stuff. And I've got a 4x6 table, Craig, of Operation Chariot that I can do, that I've done a couple times. And it's just how far down that rabbit hole and how much of that itch do you need to scratch that you want to play for, and that's what's great about bolt action.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've given Matt and I something to think about now. So.
I've got a couple sprues left. If you I can send you some sprues. I mean, hey, there you go. Send me an address.
Yeah, I'm already thinking we could do Rangers in Airborne. With a meetup with Ted Danson and Paul Giamatti when they meet up on the wall with the Germans. I could do the Germans on the other side of the wall in the house.
And Caveat, one of my raiders, Matt Doyle, the Fighting Kentuckian, if you see him online, he does, he's a JAG in the Army, but he does a lot of different reports. And he was talking to one of his bosses on an exercise a while ago, and they said, "You play with toy soldiers?" "Yeah, I got this. Now he's been tasked to build the 100. He's attached right now to the 101st Airborne, so he's building the table of those first days, and now he's been selected. Holy crap! What a hobby craziness! He's now been selected to go over as a representative, as a historian, to the 80th anniversary in Normandy. Yeah, and he's going to brief 2-star generals on our hobby with Warlord toys.
Nice.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
And Reed, my guy who's now, Mitch Reed's one of my raiders, retired lieutenant colonel from the Air Force. He's now the head of all wargaming, Craig, for the United States Marine Corps. And he is getting some of our Marines to paint up by James Wapple, and they'll be in the foyer when you walk in of the permanent display of gaming, and they're going to use our Island Assault on how to simulate tabletop.
Oh wow, that's awesome!
And we've had bolt action. I mean, we've had Blood Red Skies played at the Air Force Academy. So I mean, it's just you never know. You never know this hobby's going to take you. 40 years ago, you asked a kid from Montana who lived near Canada, "Hey, do you realize that you're going to be in charge of North America and be going all over the place and influencing, what I do?" "Nah, you're full of shit." And here we are. So, for all you young kids out there listening to this podcast, follow your dreams and keep playing toy soldiers, because you never know right where it might end up being and giving it to you.
Yeah. I remember actually my dad saying to me once, painted toy soldiers will not take you anywhere. I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time, and I was like, right, that's a challenge accepted. Right, taking me all over the place and everything. My dad's awesome.
You guys love this story. One of my raiders, Brian Swanson, came with me over to the UK a couple of years ago, and he got into good friends with Pete Healy, which is their metal spinner, and they ran off for a couple hours and they came back, and what Pete and Brian did was both Brian's sons play a hell of a lot of bolt action, and one of his sons had requested a certain HQ unit. So what Brian had done was he went down with Pete Healy to the Warlord Games spinning room, the metal spinning room, and Pete got out the molds, and Pete and Brian spun the HQ unit that his son wanted. So now his son has HQ units for bolt action spun by his father at HQ in metal for him to play with. There's an heirloom right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
that's cool.
You never know. You just never know.
Yeah.
And the last story I'll tell you before I go off the deep end, but my daughter is 17. Well, she's 25 now, but when she was 17, we came over to England on one of my trips, and we were at John Stoller's house, and she's drinking gin and tonics, and we're playing black powder, and I'm British and she's French, and she's playing French cuirassiers, and I'm playing the 95th Rifles. I'm telling your story, and yeah, this is my wife. This is my daughter, Chloe. There she is.
Hey, Chloe.
And
Tell her to go on the other side. We didn't get her in the camera.
Yeah. Come on. This
There
is my
you go.
eldest
Now
Chloe.
you're in.
Okay. Here's her story. She was over in John Stoller's house, and she's playing with all his. She kicked my ass. Yeah, I'm getting there. So she's playing with all the paraphernalia that John has. He's got, inert MG42s. He's got shields from Isan Loana. He's got the Zulu shield, and he's got Baker's rifles and everything. She's having some fun, and she's being 17 years old, and she's having gin and tonics. And she gets up across the table from me. She gets French cuirassiers. I get the 95th Rifles. She comes charging around a hill. I try to form square. I don't. She kicks my ass, destroys my unit, and I look at her, and I say, "Look, baby, it's never gonna get better than this. You're playing black powder in John Stoller's house, and you're drinking gin and tonics on this great table with these miniatures, and you kicked your dad's ass." And that story will be with her forever. And that's what this hobby is about having fun with your friends and family, and it's a legacy. And it's just that, a guy can play a video game for 4 hours, turn it off, and you're done. But a guy paints a miniature, and that becomes an heirloom that he can carry on, and we can all live forever. So there you go, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with that.
You went off the this one, Craig. I'm sure.
No. This is. I was just going to say. I think we could do another 2 hours of this. And,
definitely.
So I think that probably we'll just wrap up there with just a quick touch point on what each of us are painting at the moment.
You do want to do you do want to do the hobby plans? All right.
Yeah, just a quick 10 minutes of our hobby plans. I think what I would also love to do is get John back in the future for another episode, and I'd love to dig into also Korea, because I think there's a lot there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think there's a lot about. I think generally Korea as a conflict was something that is overlooked historically. I think they call it the Forgotten War and stuff, and I think there's a lot there, and there's a lot in the book, and you wrote the book, so I think it would be great for us to do a focus on that. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that very much,
Yeah,
Craig.
absolutely. I'd love that. So, why don't we just talk about for the next 5 minutes, what each of us are painting hobby-wise, or what we're up to hobby-wise. So,
Matt's going to
I'm just going to say that I'm painting my Waterloo British brigades for my birthday bash.
Yeah, excellent.
Matt, why don't you lead us through this?
So yeah, I'm doing Waterloo for birthday thing, and it sounds like I'm going on another tangent now because of Rangers.
Rangers and tanks with stowage, yeah.
We had plans, and
we had really good plans.
I liked our
We
plans.
had really good plans until we met John, and now those plans are shot. We got new plans.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's sorry.
So,
Sorry,
yeah.
that's right.
got so many ideas I gotta talk to Craig about now.
Evan, what are you? I know what you're painting. Oh, you are painting Epic.
Great.
Yeah, I'm also thinking
Show
Epic
us
Print.
again.
I'm doing the Dutch because obviously coming from South Africa, I can speak Dutch, well, Afrikaans. And
Yeah.
Could you just hold it up a second again there, Evan?
Sure.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Oh, well done.
So yeah,
That's
They're
it.
over there.
Yeah, over there.
That's one of my problems with this hobby is this is my work PC because I work from home. That's the painting desk, and that's a problem.
Only for your work.
Yeah.
Preach, bro. Preach. I understand.
Myself, I have inducted Sean, the painting master, into doing my Epic because I just can't get excited about it. Like I said, I love to hate the game. I have no problem painting it. I just can't playing it. I just can't get excited about painting it. That said, I'm working on our Adepticon army for Saga with Evan. He painted me some elephants. We're going to do some Indians. East Indians, I guess. I don't know. That may or may not be PC. I don't know.
It's the Indians from India.
Yeah, the Indians from India in 300, roughly 280, 300 BC. So I hope that's politically correct. Yeah, he painted us a good army for that. That's
You
the portion of
mentioned
it.
1/300th. Oh, well, that might be the next topic of 1/300 stuff that Warlord's coming up with
There you
next
go.
time we talk. Whoops.
And then we've got our orders in, and
John.
we're waiting for Hannibal to come out, and we're all trying to figure out what we want. I have no desire for the Romans, so like Evan, I'm the Carthaginians, and then I want to see what else is going to come down the pipe for the other armies, because obviously you don't put out a miniature game with just 2 armies. So I'm really hoping to see where they branch out into, because there's a couple that I'd be really interested in and around that time period, but I don't know how broad the time period's going to go. If it's going to be like an early, late, mid, or if it's going to be like everything. So it'll be interesting to see how Warlord approaches this. That's going to be cool. So that's where I'm
Derek,
going.
send me that, and then next time I go over to the headquarters, because I have to go over every once in a while, I'll see what I can find out for you.
That would be awesome. Because there are definitely some armies that I'd be seriously interested in. And with that's John. You said you were painting something. Oh, what was that? You can repeat that again.
Well, I'm working on some terrain bits from our good friend Jorge at Things from the Basement. We're trying to finish up that table 18 of German, and then I've always got bolt action Korea stuff on deck. I've got the gun truck and the gun trailer, and I've got some. We did a deal a while ago. A good friend of mine, Josh Carpenter, who's running the Wales strictly bolt action Korea event next month, and then of course Nick Parsons, who does a lot of the stuff over in the UK. We've got some. We did a deal with Patrick with Pete Healy, and we can do ROK, Republic of Korea guys. You talk to me or talk to Pete. We put out 50 of our Nisei heads, and you can put them on top of any American World War II troop, and they become ROK.
Oh, okay.
So I've got 50 guys for that I've got to get painted, and so I'll have my ROK army. The hardest thing about bolt action Korea is somebody's going to be communist, and that's it. And then we can talk about the next episode, but that's the hardest thing about bolt action Korea.
Right. I've maybe been playing a bit too much Fallout, but the idea of playing some commie kind of thing, right? I'm like, oh. But
so with that, Craig, why don't you run us out?
Yeah. So well, as always, a pleasure, John.
Sorry, before you do, just so everybody knows, check out the show notes. I'm going to have links to ReaperCon, Things from the Basement, Vanguard's Kickstarter that's starting next month. I'm going to see what links I can get for that. And the Renegade GT in Minneapolis, I'm going to see what links I can get for that. They'll all be in the show notes. All topics that we talked about today, I think we should be able to point you to them quickly.
And Twisted Lures and Bolt Action Korea.
Yes. And of course, all the Warlord games that we normally do. Craig!
Yes. Okay. So thank you very much, John. As ever, a pleasure. And of course, if everybody wants to see how into Judge Dredd John is, if you go to our website, dicehoses.ca, you will go to the video section. You will see our actual very first interview, which is with John at Adepticon, and he's wearing a Judge Dredd helmet. So go check that out. So next show we'll be looking at talking about what we'd love to see in 3rd edition bolt action. We're going to be talking about the new Epic Hail Caesar, just what are our thoughts on that, and how our Epic Black Powder Waterloo went. That'd be went by then.
Yes.
Yeah, and do we remember, because we've had that much brandy and bubble.
You've slept and had alcohol since then.
Yes. So that's what we'll be up to. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Good night. And John, we will see you in a future episode. Thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime, brother.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. See you later.